Drew McIntyre comes out. San Jose, what should we talk about? And he did this in the most sarcastic way. It was like really funny.
Really great. Yeah.
He does not have to explain himself to anyone in the locker room. He only answers to his fans. He's going to stop being the savior, getting involved in fights he doesn't start. And when he hasn't helped, it's not like anyone else is coming from the locker room to help. So they're all hypocrites backstage. I mean, point taken. He calls it a weakness, not a strength of those forgiving Jey Uso so easily. So the Miz comes out and he's pissed that he canceled Miz TV last week, or this week, I should say, and argues that he stood up for Drew, and they're trying to get a shut up Miz chant going as his new thing to go along with Tiny Balls. Drew explains he's not the type of person that's going to attack people behind their back. I'm going to win my matches and move to the top, and I want to fight you. But Miz says, you're two-faced, you play both sides, it's whatever benefits Drew McIntyre. And Miz says, I'm going to be the bigger man and walk away. And then as Drew turns his back, he runs at him, hits him with the microphone, and Drew knocks him out of the ring, and we get an impromptu match with Drew against Miz in a suit.
Yes, Miz in a suit. I thought the Miz continues to be really good in these sort of roles. Again, he plays like very much the, representative of the dark side. He's the devil on Drew's shoulder trying to pull him in. And I really like the way that they're handling Drew on his path to, first of all, like think he can resist the power of the dark side, I guess. But and also like just the way they're generally presenting Drew, where like he continues to give you great logic for why he's not agreeing with the baby faces. You understand his perspective, but you also,
it's almost too much logic as I'm watching this. Like you did have more of the heel, like last week watching Kofi get beaten up, but I think by and large, I think you look at this guy, I was like, this is a fine case that he has to make.
It's a fine case, but ultimately you still know that it's the heroic thing to do to help somebody when they're down, and beyond that, you look at the other actions of the other baby faces that you also respect, like a Sami Zayn or a Cody, and their ability to forgive and forget. And, you look for that in somebody as, I think, morally high as, the old Drew McIntyre character. This is all to say this sort of debate is way more interesting than 99% of the heel turns that we've ever had in professional wrestling's history. So the fact that we could even understand a guy's side to this extent, I think is wonderful storytelling. Being able to continue to add lines like, the only people I care about are the fans, and having somebody like the Miz oppose him continues to also like blur these lines in a really good way. It's almost to the point now where you're left guessing, is this guy actually turning heel, or is this going to be a straight up babyface versus like disagreeing type of match that he has with Cody? But it's all making this feel like much more of a realistic disagreement and much more realistic potential heel turn for Drew.
Do you think this Drew McIntyre, if he was walking down the street and there was somebody on the ground that was like motionless and he knows CPR, would he just keep walking?
I mean, at this point, yeah, the new Drew would mind his own business and not get involved, because who has helped him if he, was on the ground and needed CPR?
He would help this guy with CPR, and then they would like break the guy's ribs and he'd sue him. Drew's like, no, I'm not getting involved anymore. He
comes across like a guy who's been screwed like that. Yeah. So he's like, he's succumbing to, I think, like his past, his traumatized past with the bloodline. And he's not overcoming those things. He's choosing to do what the villains did to him.
Wanted to spend a little bit of time at the beginning of the show to go over this month at the Post Wrestling Cafe. We had already mentioned to you on over the weekend that we have been introducing audio news updates that I've been doing, and those will be coming out a minimum of 3 per week for Double and Espresso members at the Post Wrestling Cafe. We did this on Friday and did one for today's news updates. And we're going to provide a sample for all patrons for Wednesday and Friday. So at any level on the cafe, you'll get to sample these audio updates. And then beginning next Monday, they will be exclusive to the Double and Espresso tier and ad-free shows. Not the other podcast network, but rather just the concept itself, as we will be adding Rewind to Raw, Rewind to Dynamite, and our pay-per-view reviews on the Post Wrestling Cafe feed, commercial free for everybody. And that started last night with Wrestle Dream and will continue with this show. Drew takes on the Miz, and we had some tiny balls chance. Miz gets thrown around with belly to bellies, but then catches him with a lung blower in the ropes. And Miz goes to take the turnbuckle pad off, but doesn't achieve getting it off as he's caught by the referee. So Drew hits the Glasgow Kiss, and he goes to do the countdown, but then grabs his sword. So the referee takes the sword away because that's not part of the rules where you can slice this man's head off. So as he turns his back to remove a deadly weapon, Drew goes over to the corner, removes the turnbuckle pad, and nails Miz's head into the exposed buckle, and then hits the Future Shock DDT to win in 352. So you don't know what the purpose of this is until he gets onto the microphone and says, "I'm not the same man I was 30 seconds ago. I'm sorry. And since I apologized, that means I'm forgiven. Yay." Dude, it was in this moment that I was like, I enjoy this character a lot now. Like this is
the best.
I can do anything, but as long as I apologize, that's all that matters.
Yeah, it's a 10-year-old's logic when they're being forced to apologize for doing something that they shouldn't have done, right? But to use it in this context for a babyface that is about to turn heel, but not really recognizing that he is turning heel in front of our eyes, was perfect. Okay, the Miz trying to cheat, and then Drew instead recognizing, hey, I can use this opportunity to just cheat myself just so I can prove a point about how much of a grudge I hold over Jey Uso. I think is just so perfect for a heel, like a modern heel turn where you see a million of these types on the internet, on Twitter single day with this sort of logic. Yes.
I want to see him like do something heinous on TV, and then the next day he posts something in like a notes app on Twitter.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Now I can be forgiven. Great.
That's
you can forget
me.
about this and you can move on.
That's not me with like a smiling emoji.